Oasis, may they rest in peace, not exactly an existing live band right now, but the Gallagher brothers have become producers on a new documentary that's going to document their famous Knebworth show that they did in England in 1996. They've compiled all this footage that they had when they originally shot it back when the show happened. This was pretty much peak Oasis when this happened in 1996. And they said this new documentary is not going to feature any interviews. It's not going to feature any talking heads or anything like that. That they're going to use the footage of what happened of that on that day of the band and of the fans to kind of document how this whole thing went. And it's no secret to anybody that Oasis is my favorite band of all time. They are the reason that I play music and the reason why I do anything in life. So I'm very much looking forward to this new documentary. And as I said, this was peak Oasis. If you take a look at any of the pictures or the footage of their Knebworth show in 1996, this is just after Morning Glory came out in 95, when they were, on the cusp of even bigger things. I don't think it really got any bigger than that. But I still maintain that Oasis is one of the best bands of all time. I think a lot of people doubt that, especially here in North America. There are a lot of Oasis fans, but I don't think anybody really believes just how big Oasis was, especially in England in the 90s. So I'm hoping this goes a little bit further to prove just how big Oasis is, and rightfully so, because they are still one of the best bands of the 90s, if not one of the best bands of all time. They have the singles and the hits to prove it. And the amount of people that showed up at Knebworth in 1996 also proves it as well. So you can't knock the Gallagher brothers. That's how I look at it. I know you're not as big of a fan as I am, but still.
Oh, dude, I love Oasis. I think Oasis is awesome. I've seen them a bunch of times. Seen Noel Gallagher a bunch of times. They're I agree 100%. They're one of the best modern rock bands of the last 30 years for sure. They're definitely the top. For me, they're probably top 10. Like they're in the big top 10. Man, this documentary or concert video looks awesome. It looks amazing. Like I've seen some of the footage and stuff, and it looks amazing. And I don't think people understand how big that band was at that time. This was a time when records were still selling and bands were gods, and it's crazy, man. Like you see some of the footage of that stuff, it's like, it's awe-inspiring. Everyone all at the height of their careers, and they've had this great run going where they've put out this amazing record, and everyone all across the world has just been like, oh yeah, they're the next big rock band. And there's all the elements that need to be there to have that rock and roll story, with the brothers and like the rivalry and the songwriting and it's a perfect snapshot of rock and roll from that time, like mid 90s. This is what you get, and this is how people felt. Like that's the other thing too, when you watch this show, like you see how people were at shows, like you see the energy and like the connection and it's amazing. I can't wait to see it. Like the footage looks amazing, so I can't wait to check it all out and hear all those hits again.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't get to see Oasis until the year 2000. Once a lot of the original lineup had left and they played at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. So wasn't quite as big as Knebworth in 1996, but 96 was the year for me that I became an Oasis fan or close to it, because it was in, I think, May of 1996. Let's go back. It's an anniversary. May of 96 is when I picked up Morning Glory on CD at a Tower Records in Toronto, and completely changed my life. When you think back about the music that influenced you, and there's always a band or an artist where that was kind of just that catalyst, if you're a musician, that really or not even a musician, but a music fan, that really turn that on for you, because we're doing a podcast here about rock music. So obviously for the two of us, aside from just being musicians, that we love rock music to our core. That is who we are, who's what we do. It makes up our DNA. And there was, I'm sure for you, when you first started playing music and getting into being a music fan, there was that switch that went on in your head. You knew that music was going to be your thing, and it was going to be such a big part of your life. And that's what happened for me. So even though I wasn't at Knebworth in 96, I was a 12-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid in Hamilton. I was still vibing off of that. And it was still such a huge moment for me. So anytime they go back to that period, I get the huge nostalgia vibes.
Oh, me too, 100%.